As with any Star Wars project worth its blue milk, with such a monumental feat of cinematic television obviously comes with it a whole host of intriguing facts and secrets that make the end product as satisfying to digest as a frog lady's offspring. Too soon? Either way, I'm Gareth from What Culture Star Wars, and here are 10 mind-blowing facts you didn't know about The Mandalorian. Number 10. Tusken Sign Language was created for the world. When it comes to Disney Plus's corner of the galaxy far, far away in general, the treatment of the once terrifying and underdeveloped Tusken Raiders made for a rather refreshing change. Instead of being simply presented as the senseless villains occupying Tatooine as they had been in the previous few decades, the likes of The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett highlighted how there was truly more than meets the goggle when it comes to these native Sand People. One of the most compelling developments when it came to the well-known Star Wars race, however, was the introduction of Tusken Sign Language in the first season of The Mandalorian. In order to gain safe passage across the desert, Mando converses with the Raiders using this distinct form of sign language. Distinct because it was actually designed specifically for the show and subsequent spin-off, with Troy Kotsur, the first deaf actor to win an acting Oscar, playing a major part in developing the language. Number 9. How the fans influenced the AHSOKA TANO'S casting. The second it became clear that not only were fans finally set to be treated to a live-action iteration of the hugely popular Clone Wars and Rebels star Ahsoka Tano, but that she was also going to be brought to life by none other than Rosario Bloody Dawson, the hype was understandably quite strong with this second season of The Mandalorian. Yet little did those passionate Ahsoka adorers know, their dreams of seeing an actor of Dawson's caliber take up the reins expertly handled by Ashley Eckstein coming into Tano's live-action debut actually caught the attention of none other than Dave Filoni himself when casting the part. In a conversation with Vanity Fair, Dawson would go on record to admit that her reaction to a fan casting her in the role eventually found its way onto the radar of someone who had been doing press for Star Wars. Said exchange was eventually passed on to Filoni, who would later reveal, "That was the first time, and I looked at Rosario and I thought, yeah, I think maybe she would make a good Ahsoka." Sure enough, Filoni has been proven right and then some ever since. Number 8. No green screens required. Never exactly shy about attempting to pull off technological feats that few have ever dared to even try, the Star Wars franchise has seen countless pieces of innovation eventually influence the wider filmmaking sphere over the years. And not to be outdone by the groundbreaking CGI and effects that thoroughly changed the game on the big screen, The Mandalorian brought with it a piece of kit that holds the potential to completely alter modern filmmaking for the better. As revealed in the 4th episode of The Mandalorian's Disney Gallery titled Technology, the volume is comprised of a number of gigantic video screens, and provided the likes of Jon Favreau with the tools to shoot epic otherworldly sequences from the comfort of an indoor studio. Said LED screens are able to be effectively manipulated in the moment, with the 3D background moving only within the camera's field of view, and boast the ability to provide more realistic colors and reflect metallic surfaces more authentically. The tool has become so revolutionary, Mando episode directors Taika Waititi and Peyton Reed have also adopted it for use for their upcoming Thor Love and Thunder and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania MCU projects respectively. Number 7. A Plo Koon swerve. Keeping a secret under wraps in order to elicit a suitably jaw-dropping response is not exactly new for the Star Wars universe. But The Mandalorian Season 2's epic conclusion came with it perhaps even more secrecy than a certain Empire Strikes Back reveal. Completely omitting the name Luke Skywalker from the script, those shooting the emotionally charged sequence on the day were convinced that they were actually witnessing the stunning return of none other than Master Plo Koon. Thanks to the script including his name, concept art depicting the Jedi, and even a CGI rendering of Koon's head being placed on Luke in the now iconic scene. Always one step ahead, Dave Filoni was well aware that diehards were wise to Koon being his favorite Jedi, so assumed that any leaks surrounding the seemingly dead character arriving back on the scene would be accepted as fact, paving the way for the real zinger down the line. Even Peyton Reed was under the impression Plo was about to show, with the director sharing the sort of reaction the majority of fans would have had on the development of "Are you being serious right now? Is this real? You're bringing the guy back?" when he learned of the news. Number 6. Some well-known guest voices. It wouldn't be a slice of galaxy far, far away goodness without a few cheeky star-studded cameos now, would it? More than filling their well-known talent quota over the course of the show's first 2 seasons, The Mandalorian has seen the likes of comedy stars Adam Pally and Jason Sudeikis stop by as cheaply kitted out stormtroopers in the first season. But that merely scratches the starry appearance surface, as Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, was drafted in to voice droid bartender EV9D9, John Leguizamo stops by as Gorka Resh, Richard Ayoade voices Zero, hell, even Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau themselves rock up as New Republic pilot Trapper Wolf, and another hulking Mandalorian respectively. It's not hard to see why just about anyone who is anyone is in a rush to lend their vocal or physical talents to this much adored world, whether or not their cooperation is announced in advance or not. The question is, which famous faces or voices will be sneaking their way onto the small screen by the time Season 3 rolls around? Number 5. The inspiration behind Mando's weapons. An awful lot of time and effort went into finalizing some of the exquisite detail on show over the course of Disney Plus's first real resounding TV success. And among these superbly crafted sets, costumes, and spaceships are the unmistakable weapons utilized by some of the Mandalorian's major players. In particular, Din Djarin and many of the other characters on show's tools for getting the job done were said to have drew inspiration from World War II weapons. As prop master Josh Roth explained in the Practical Disney Gallery episode, for the original trilogy they rented surplus weapons from World War II and modified them. So with The Mandalorian going down after said trilogy, the decision was wisely made to follow in their weaponized footsteps. This wasn't the only time The Mandalorian drew inspiration from prior Star Wars content either, as Mando's signature pulse blaster rifle was the result of Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni and the gang seeing the undoubtedly awesome weapon used by Boba Fett in 1978's Star Wars Holiday Special and feeling it more than fit the bill for their leading gunslinger. Number 4. The ins and outs of The Mandalorian on set. It's time to focus a spotlight on precisely what went into making Din Djarin the masked space Lone Ranger we didn't know we needed on the set of The Mandalorian. Of course, the brilliant Pedro Pascal was tasked with being the literal face and voice of this titular Mandalorian. However, it wasn't simply a case of just suiting up the Game of Thrones and Narcos star and strutting him out onto the volume every day. Instead, whenever the Beskar sporting badass was required to get particularly physical, one of 2 stunt people was substituted into his unmistakable outfit: gun expert Brendan Wayne and hand-to-hand combat pro Lateef Crowder, depending on the sequence. In fact, Pascal's stunt doubles were so damn convincing that when the actor couldn't make it to set to shoot for episode 4 of the first season, due to King Lear Broadway rehearsals as you do, said stunt performers took up the reins before Pascal later added his recorded lines in post. And as another interesting tidbit, Pascal also genuinely busted his head on a piece of plywood before dramatically revealing his mug for the first time as Djarin in Season 1. So some of the wounds seen in that moment are actually legit. Number 3. What goes into bringing Grogu to life? Sticking with the details behind what went into producing 2 of the most likable and engaging characters Star Wars has unleashed in recent times, and with a little green legend who quickly stole the heart of the entire galaxy, opting instead to go back to basics and rely more heavily on practical effects than the more commonly used CGI tools seen in the majority of sci-fi projects today. Producing a realistic Grogu puppet for use on the set of The Mandalorian did not come cheap by any means, coming in at a cool $5 million. There's a reason aforementioned one-time Stormtrooper Adam Pally was given a passive-aggressive dressing down by Jon Favreau, on the back of walloping Baby Yoda a little too hard in one particular take, taking a staggering 4 puppeteers to operate the lifelike little guy, one designated to his eyes, another his head and body, another his mouth and ears, and the last the other parts of his body and arms. Legendary director Werner Herzog even went out of his way to advise Deborah Chow to double down on committing to the puppet instead of using CGI. Such was his connection to the entirely convincing puppet. Number 2. Fan-made Stormtrooper outfits were needed after they ran out. A great many of those who confess to be Star Wars diehards will likely have already stumbled upon the 501st Legion. But for those not yet in the know, this fan-based organization, comprised entirely of volunteers, specializes in the design and construction of entirely accurate replicas of famous Star Wars costumes. Vader's fist has lovingly been given a few nods in canon Star Wars lore over the years, most notably in the Clone Wars animated series with the appearances of the 501st Clone Battalion, a unit serving under Anakin Skywalker and led by Captain Rex. So when the Mandalorians soon realized they'd underestimated just how many Stormtrooper outfits they required over the course of shooting Season 1, the 501st were dramatically called upon to save the day. A number of members of the Legion soon showed up to set, fully kitted out in their own iconic white armor, and provided the necessary backup for the season's 7th and 8th episodes. Number 1. The cost of crafting. Already evidenced in Jon Favreau's willingness to drop $5 million of Disney's bucks on the creation of series megastar Grogu, the eventual eye-watering cost per episode numbers that would reveal themselves later down the road suggest the producing of The Mandalorian was no penny-pinching exercise. Each entry in the 16-chapter tale was said to have cost around $50 million to produce, meaning that each of the first 2 seasons would have taken around $120 million to fully commit to the screen. This is similar to the cost of each of the final Game of Thrones episodes, again in the $15 million ballpark, but utterly dwarfs that HBO show's first season numbers of just $6 million per episode. This absolutely pales in comparison to Netflix's Stranger Things Season 4 budget though, reportedly $30 million per episode, and Amazon Prime's upcoming reported investment of $462 million on its first The Lord of the Rings of Power season, of course. But the likes of Favreau and Filoni likely won't be in too much of a rush to match those jaw-dropping production cost numbers, as long as their well-received small-screen Star Wars universe continues to leave audiences clamoring for more. And that's our list. Know of any other mind-blowing facts people didn't know about The Mandalorian? Let us know all about them in the comment section right down below, and do not forget to like, share, and go and click on that subscribe button if you like this kind of thing. Also, if you enjoyed this video, then head on over to whatculture.com and find some more incredible articles just like the one the video you're watching right now is based on. I have been Gareth from What Culture Star Wars. May the Force be with you. Thank you very much for watching this video today, and I'm sure I'll see you very, very soon. Bye-bye!